My name is Nomuntu Ndlovu. I am the Managing Director of SiyaBuddy Recycling and Waste Management. Did you know that in South Africa, 42 million tons of waste is generated? That was just in 2017 alone, and only 11.6% of that was recycled. In addition to that, almost 51% of that waste is organic waste, mostly from factories, and also organic waste from farms and fresh produce markets. So why is this a problem? Why can't we solve this problem? There's so many recyclers out there in the country. Our vision as SiyaBuddy is to enhance environmental conservation, while addressing social issues, so that's unemployment and poverty. So how are we going to do this? So we're going to convert the waste that we're currently generating in South Africa into value. We'll buy the waste and then we'll sell it as recyclable material. So the waste is baled and then sold to different recyclers across the country. So from cans, bottles, paper, plastic, and so on. And how are we doing this? Currently, we run a buyback center that currently where we separate the waste from landfill. So we have around 50 reclaimers at landfill currently sorting the waste manually. But what we would like to do is have a material recovery facility, which will then allow us to sort waste from the current 10% that we're sorting to 90% of waste sorted. Secondly, for the organic waste, what we use is the black soldier fly production system. So with this system, we're converting organic material into protein and manure, the protein in the form of larvae, and once the larvae degrades the organic material, we produce manure from that, which we're currently selling to farmers. And the last part, the way we're doing it, is the end user product. We're currently producing a brick from refuse bag, which is currently not recyclable, as well as the baling material, which are then used for consumer goods after recycling. So we want to scale. How are we going to scale? Well, we decided that we can't do it on our own. Opening another buyback center in another area requires a lot of manpower because we currently hire 28 people, and the community members that we're currently servicing are 1,033 community members that sell to us directly. So doing that at another place requires a lot of time and a lot of manpower, which we currently don't have. So we would like to create a marketplace for recycling, where we're connecting our consumers, which are currently the big recycling companies in South Africa, Sapi, Coriso, Extrupet, Collector-Can, with the buyback centers. But the challenge with us buyback centers, we don't have capital. Most of us, we start this business with just a baling machine and a bakkie, and halfway through the journey, the business falls because we don't have proper systems, we don't have cost-cutting measures. There's nothing that we basically have in a procedure that will allow us to get the most value from our equipment. That's why as SiyaBuddy right now, we are currently going through a process re-engineering process where we're trying to cut cost and maximize the value of our equipment, as well as an ISO certification to make sure that we meet the standards required for you to duplicate at another place. And what this marketplace is planning to do is also connect the investors as well to recyclers. We have a huge challenge with climate change, and one of the ways to combat that is through recycling. So we're hoping that with this platform, investors can put money in that will fund the capital equipment required for you to effectively run your business and make a profit. And once you start making a profit, the company will take 20% of that through the investment leg. The investors will take 30% of the profits from that, and the company will remain with 50% of that profit. If a buyback center is already established and well running, we are only going to take 10% of sales because that's just connecting customer to buyer. So what impact are we planning to see? Currently, we're just targeting 2 sites, implementing 2 new sites in the country, which will enable us to double our revenue. We currently make a revenue of approximately 300,000 rands per month. So in the first year, we're just targeting 2 sites just to see and see all the kinks, develop the system, see if it will actually work, get all the certification done, and then that will create 56 new jobs. And we're planning to reach the communities through indirect jobs to 3,000 from our current 1,000 jobs created. What we require currently is training. We're not tech people. Let's be honest, we're not tech people. We don't know how to develop the system or what do we need to do exactly to make sure that it's scalable from country to country. So that's what we need. We also need access to markets, because most of the waste in South Africa where we sell to the recyclers, they export. They export almost 50% of the waste that they recycle. So that's it from me. These are our successes, and thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nomundo.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So you said you have 28 people that you currently employ. Of those people, how many are senior / strategic in management, kind of at your level?
5.
5 of you.
Yeah.
And then tell me a little bit more about who's also doing this. So you spoke a little bit about the people that fall away.
Yeah.
Right? We adjust, and who is doing it and also doing it well alongside you?
So people who are currently doing well in terms of buyback centers currently are people who are involved in trade. So for example, it's always the big guys. Impact, your waste plans, your collector can is also a buyback center as well, but they're just focusing on cans only. So those are always the big guys who are doing very, very well despite the change in the recycling sector, because we know China closed markets. Therefore, our recycling prices went straight down, and they have been holding stock for as much as they can until they can find new markets to sell it to. So with that happening, those are the main players in the recycling sector. Excuse me. The rest of buyback centers, if I can call it that, are mostly collectors. So we collect. For instance, in my buyback center, I collect 120 tons a month on average. In terms of waste on recyclable material. And you find that there are current people who are recycling into either PET or refuse bags or plastic or whatever they're making, and they would request from you 200 tons a month of that particular product. It's something that I cannot on my own supply them with, but as a group, as a collective, we can then be able to meet those local markets and also markets outside the country.
So just clarifying a little bit that kind of chain of people involved in the whole, like from the waste pickers to, I see a problem, with recycling, that it leaves out some of the people who are really, who needs that job of collecting the actual and selling. Yes. How is that?
So the way we've combated that challenge, 30% of the money that we sell with goes to the collector, because they do most of the collection. They sort the material. Most of the time it's from it's not very healthy scenarios. So it's always from landfill sites, illegal dump sites, and all those things. So we give them 30% of that, and then the rest of it is for
And the factory that you want to do, what is their role kind of in, they're still collecting the stuff and giving to you?
Yes, yeah.
Thanks.
In terms of, maybe, I'm just trying to think. Yeah. So I'm just enjoying the model actually, because, this connection, I'm actually doing some research in circular economy. So there's always a disconnect between various players. And so I'm interested particularly in what you're saying. If I understood you correctly, you said that if you have your own centers, or if you establish your own, you're going to take 50% of those margins, but there's existing ones that you'll work with. So that's not just about so it's, the idea is to expand on your own, but also to have all the people who are existing, to bring them into this ecosystem to benefit from the network and this kind of bulk selling. Okay, so that was just one clarification. And then the second bit was, so to what degree do you foresee any training or upskilling of people that the waste collectors? You talked about the health and safety aspect. Yes. Do you foresee any kind of interventions at that level?
Majority of the waste pickers, I'll be honest, are people from where I'm from, rural areas. It's always household leaders who are breadwinners for their families, which are mostly women and of a certain age, so around 25 and above. So all the young people actually are not really interested in collecting garbage for a living. But what we have done is that as we are building our material recovery facility, we've taken up some of the collectors and we've trained them. How do you bale? How do you drive a forklift? Can you drive a truck? So those sort of job specs that they can get into, and they don't really necessarily have to stay in recycling. They can move out into other fields as well. It's just a way for you to take it to a step level up.
Quick. What would ISO do for you? What would having the ISO certification do for you in scaling?
Okay, so we're dealing with a health-related industry, and waste is quite highly regulated. So we are getting certified with ISO 14000, which has to do with environmental aspects of it, and ISO 9000, which has to do with the business side of it. As much as it's a recycling business, it's still a business. You need to do your HR, you need to do all those things, your admin, your finance. You have to have controls in place. Otherwise, you lose a lot of money and you lose a lot of time not being able to see where your costs are. So you lose a lot of money because of that, and there's therefore poor planning and all those sort of things. So what it has actually helped us is become more structured. We now have an HR function, we have an HR head who is responsible for all the HR related matters, including training and development. We also have a finance head who's responsible for all the financial, make sure we have management accounts, all those things. How are we doing in terms of the business? What did we do better last month as we did? What was different? Those sort of things. That way it gives us informed decisions. We're able to make informed decisions from those processes and systems in place. Thank you.